Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Educator session, the first of this academic year. And the topic today is making the 11 plus process engaging and fun. So this is basically a parents' workshop. And I'm going to be sharing some experiences and strategies that you can take away with you and implement. Implementation is key here. So please feel free to take notes. Please feel free to ask me any questions that you might have. And at the end of the session, you will receive the recording of the session as well as a workbook. For our year 4 and year 5 parents, it will be uploaded in your learning walls. So how do you make the 11 plus engaging and fun? And this is just a simpler, calmer, joyful way to support learning. First of all, a little bit of introduction and who am I? I mentor parents and help them go through the academic journey, whether it is the 11 plus or even higher. People come to me with questions such as, is my child suitable for 11 plus? Or is it even worth going through this process? And similar questions. And I always tell them that the 11 plus journey is suitable for everyone. It's about building habits, building good routines, and helping your child develop skills both academically, whether it's English, maths, reasoning, and confidence, resilience, habits like sitting down and doing work. And all of this gives you a chance to bond with your child, because bonding and attachment and connection is the basis of giving your child confidence in going out and doing things in the world. So it is about the journey, the process, and how we attach ourselves to the effort that we put in and the effort that your child puts in, and not to the outcome, because the outcome is not in our hands. The results, or maybe there are so many other factors, the competition, how the child will perform on the day, what kind of test will be, because the test always changes, and sometimes schools give questions which may not have come up before, and so on and so forth. So when we attach ourselves to the effort, the outcome will follow. And no matter what school your child ends up in after year 6, you know that they have the skills that they can bank on and really make a success of wherever they go. I've been in this field, in this area for 10 plus years. I've helped prepare both my children. Just for context, for the first one, we wrote about 9 tests for grammar schools. And the second one, we were wiser with my second son. So we did, I think, 3 or 4 tests. So, you learn through the process. And I have also done a few certifications. Children's and young people's mental health is very, very important, and we must take care of it. So why fun matters? Before that, I want to say that this session is very simple, but very powerful. How do we make the process feel lighter for children and easier for us? It's very important, because parents really have to do a lot of work at this stage, because children are very young and they need our guidance and support. But we're not looking for perfection, and we're not even looking to make this pressure free. We have to be realistic. There's a lot of pressure here. It's going to only increase as the days go by. We just are looking to make this process a little calm, more structured. So we are looking to look at strategies, 5 strategies today, so you can start using them immediately. For this, you do not need anything new, any new, it's not a new strategy, but they are very doable and practical. They're just small shifts in how you set things up, how you respond to your child's behavior, and how you invite your child into learning. So this session is very, very practical. So please have a pen handy, and if if any idea lands with you, use it this week, and that is a win-win. Let's start with the big myth, right? That the 11 plus has to be serious and heavy, and it has to be effective all the time, because it cannot be effective all the time. These are 9-year-olds, 10-year-old children. And research in educational psychology is very clear about this. Like, children learn better when they are emotionally safe, and when they're curious and engaged in the process. So when children experience positive emotions in learning, like when they hear appreciation, when they know that their effort is being acknowledged and seen, their brains are more open to forming new connections and remembering what they learn. And this is so important because there's a lot of information to be absorbed in a matter of 1 or 2 years. And for this to happen, we have to ensure that our children are really positive and they're open to forming new connections. You may have heard this before, that motivation has 2 parts: the spark, which is the interest or the novelty in anything new, and a sense of fun. And then the second is the structure. So this is routines, expectations, and follow up or follow through. And we need both of these things. If everything is play and there is no structure, nothing moves forward, or very little movement. If everything is structure and no joy, children tend to switch off or resist or go through the motions of, rote learning without understanding and so on. And we don't want that. So our job as parents is not to be, we're not looking to be entertainers or anything of that sort. It is to design an environment where learning feels meaningful, and that the child feels, oh, I can do this. And, we are trying to dial down the overwhelm. So fun is not the opposite of serious prep. It is rather a vehicle that carries serious preparation over time. It keeps the momentum, and children engage better, and then they feel confident. So it's always very good to remember that we are a team here, parent and child. I want you to imagine for a moment that you and your child are on the same side of the table, looking at the work together, not on opposite sides, not you pushing from one end and then they are resisting from the other. Because if you make this like a shared goal, it means that the child is going to be more invested in the work that they do, or the work that they are asked to do, and they engage more. How do children engage? When they feel they have some control, some voice, and that voice is being heard. And when they trust that the adult there with them is really there with them, not just monitoring them, not just supervising and giving some work and then walking away. I know that we are pressured with time and you know, we have full-time jobs and so on. But it's very important to carve out a time. And I say this, and it may be a little controversial, but you have to take out time to spend with your child. That's the way you take out time to, eat, sleep, mandatory things. It is just as important. So even if it is once or twice a week, you just have to do that. You can't just, outsource parenting to a tutor or to a program or to a school or anything of that sort. So how do you do this? So in this journey, I want you to start using the we language if you haven't already. Instead of you haven't done your work, try how can we fit this in today? Fit this work in, fit this reasoning sheet that we haven't done in today. Instead of you need to improve your vocabulary, try, let's see how we can grow our word bank this week. And this is what I mean by calm support, and it leads to a really strong connection with your child. And these small changes signal that this is a partnership. This is not hierarchical organization where you are giving orders and the child is supposed to be accepting them. So we will keep coming back to that ideas, to this idea that this is a partnership, and the 5 strategies that I'll be sharing are all about shifting from power struggles to partnership. Okay, let me see. Are we still on this first slide? No, we are on the 3rd slide. Are you able to see? No. Okay. You're on the first slide. Okay. What about everyone else? Can't see any slides? All right. That's good to know. Let me share again. Thank you for messaging. Just give me one more. Okay. Can you see the why fun matters slide now? Okay. And can you see this slides changing now? So I'm now on the parent and child. You're a team slide. Can you see that? You can. Choices, you can, right? Okay, wonderful. So let me go back to the parent and child team. So this is what I was on, and I was speaking about how having a partnership is the basis of all of the process. And then we're going to strategy number 1. So I'm going to be changing my slide now. And this one is reduce power struggles. I hope you can see the slide. If you can't, just put it in the chat. Put it in the chat, please. Okay, so I'm going to continue. Wonderful. Thank you. So, and then this is a big one. If the relationship that you have with your child is around learning and it is tense, and you can feel the tension, everything else becomes harder. you can always see that. If a child is not happy, they're not going to be doing their best work that day. And they're not even going to be able to understand what is being taught. And power struggles usually come from three things: too many verbal reminders. You're keeping on telling your child, you're nagging them literally, and you're not giving clear instructions, like your explanations are vague. And the third thing is why power struggle come up in the first place. The children do not have a choice, or they feel that they do not have a choice. So how do we reduce this? So one is move from nagging to visual prompts. Instead of having, have you started this yet? Or have you finished the maths homework yet? If you keep on saying this all evening while your child is on maybe iPad or in front of what are those games, Call of Duty, and I don't know if your children play that. Mine did. Um, if you're going to say all of this, first of all, they're not going to be hearing half the time. It's not really going to register. And all they hear is someone just yapping in the background kind of thing. So how do we use visual prompts? A laminated weekly plan on the wall where your child can tick off the things that they do. So you are eliminating verbal reminders. You are being very clear in your expectations. There is no confusion about it. And you're giving your child its choice. And they feel that they can tick it off and they can finish it and they get to tick it off. So whether it is reading every day or every other day, whether it's a one short vocab activity or a small maths 10 minutes exercise, you point to the chart instead of repeating the same sentence 10 times. This is more or less, more of showing and less of telling. And you probably know this, how effective this strategy is in creative writing. And in real life, in the practical sense, it's even more effective. And it's very important to reward the effort, not the resistance, right? So when a child sits down and starts doing work, it's very important to acknowledge it, that you're doing wonderful, that you have chosen to finish your work today. And it might seem a very small thing to say, or even, some people brush it off, saying that if I praise my child a lot, they will become, I don't know, stubborn or something. But it doesn't work like that. You have to reward effort, and it really pays off. So when you point to the chart that you have on the wall, you are helping to reduce friction for both of you. It makes the rules clear and consistent. For example, you can also write down on the chart, after our snack, we are going to do 12 minutes of focused work. Then you get a break. So when you have these kind of rules, the more consistent the pattern of the rules, the less you need to talk about them. And also separate the child from the behavior, right? Never use things like you are lazy or you're very difficult. Instead, say, this bit of work is hard. Let's sit down and break it down and see if it gets a little less hard. So it's very important to acknowledge the fact that something may be tough or hard for them. Just because it's easy for us, it doesn't mean that it's going to be easy for them. What it does is it keeps their self-esteem intact, and they feel heard and seen that what they're going through is tough, while still addressing what needs to be done. Now, strategy number 2. We're talking about turning tasks into games. Not everything is going to be gamified. It's not possible for everything to be fun and games. Okay, I am not saying that the whole 11 plus can be something that can be turned into a fun little game, but a lot of it can, especially when you use the strategy of turning tasks into games, a few. What you are really doing is to having that connection with your child, where your child is as invested, if not more, into the process than you are. And games are not all fluff. Okay, they are powerful learning tools. So, for example, for vocabulary, instead of long, dry lists, you can use a 3-word challenge. So, a 3-word challenge, there are many different ways that you can use this challenge. One of it is your child picks 3 new words, and they have to sneak all these 3 new words into a normal conversation at dinner. And you guess the words that they chose. Or you can play something called a vocab dictionary. You choose a word, they draw it, and you guess what it is. Or they draw and you choose a word, you draw it, and they guess what it is. And then you take turns. And then there is What's My Word game. I have a book called What's My Word. You can have a look at on Amazon. There are some sample pages as well. So it is a very basic strategy behind this book, where one person guesses a word and gives the other person a clue. It could be a synonym, an antonym. It could be the number of syllables in the word, and some clues for the other person to guess the word. And this is a really fun game. And for English and comprehension, you can do short reading quests. So, for example, just allocate 10 or 15 minutes max, read a short passage, and highlight 3 words that are looking a little bit complicated or new, and do a bit of storytelling around those words. Or highlight 3 words that show what the mood is of that passage. Or find a sentence that shows how the character is feeling. For maths, you can do shopping challenges. Ask your child to estimate the total before you reach the till. Or you can also ask your child to find the same item for a lesser price. Because you can go to the fruit section and there are different types of apples, and one is more pricier than the other, and they can find a better value fruit than the other. So all these things might take a little bit more extra time than you usually take for shopping, but it really helps them think critically and to think of maths not as something that they do only on sheets, but in practical life. You can also use cooking for fractions. For example, cutting pizza, measuring ingredients. They're doing maths without the word worksheet. So the key idea here is that you're still teaching the skills that appear in the 11 plus, but you're just wrapping them up in games and real life situations. And this is what makes learning stick. Okay, let me have a look if there's any question or comment. It's good the child gets to know incidents. Yes, it really works. I mean, timetables have been there for God knows how long, yeah, and and they're quite an old strategy, some may say, because everything is on iPads and technology nowadays. But this really helps and definitely, um, keeps them away from screens. And you can do so many things with those timetables. Use some artwork, make it colorful. All these things really help. Um, when doing work, my child gets distracted. Oh yes, yes. Okay, so my child gets distracted a lot and ends up playing online games. Okay, so I would first of all say that try to get your child to do more of work on a pen and on a paper with a pen or pencil. That way, you're ensuring that games are out of reach, especially the online games. But I do understand that children are required and they do use a lot of online platforms for work, such as Atom or Bofa, which program which are children on our program use. So I do understand that. But another strategy, I think, another way to solve this situation, maybe to say that when we finish 10 minutes of English, be very, very specific. When we finish 10 minutes of English comprehension, we will, you can play a game for 15 minutes. So you are giving your child assurance that they will be able to play, and then you're also getting work done. And keep consistent with these strategies. There's one more thing: do not give up on one time, twice, thrice. It takes a little bit of repetition and this boring little game you have to play of sitting down with your child and trying to do work and changing the way your child behaves in any given situation, because every child is different and we need to just keep on going and keep on repeating that strategy and being very, very specific about what you want done and what the child will get once they finish. What type of rewards do you suggest? Um, whatever, because as I mentioned, each child is different. So it would mean let's go to the park for an hour in the evening. It could be a reward. Spending time with your children love it. We tend to think that it is nothing, but it is a lot. So sitting down with your child and having a conversation about their day, or maybe doing some drawing or artwork, some children love that. Even being interested in what they are interested in is a great reward for children. For example, my son would love to talk about, they used to watch Naruto. Is that what um, uh, was the thing back in the day, or I don't know if it's still a thing, that Japanese or Korean cartoon series. And they used to love talking about it. So they used to sit and I really, really would not be interested, but slowly over time I did it was so boring at the beginning to hear about all these weird characters and storylines. But at the beginning, I had to fake my interest, and then I really got interested. And it's very funny, but just last year, I think about a few months back, my 21-year-old was retelling what happens in Naruto and and why he was interested, and he's still interested. So yeah, so these are the kind of rewards. I would keep away from food rewards. I don't think food should be used as a reward. Spending time together, cooking, maybe it can be a reward. Whatever the child is interested in, um, is a good way for thinking about rewards. Now we are on to strategy 3, which is micro routines, little routines. We often think we need long, heroic study sessions. It's really rarely sustainable. Instead, think in micro routines, 8 minutes, 8 to 10 minutes, 8 to 16 minutes of focused work. Short, regular, and predictable. So your child thinks, oh, it's just 10 minutes, it's just 12 minutes. Let them come up with some time. I know children are so interesting. They'll come up with the most funny 2 minutes, 1 minute kind of thing. And you have to do that negotiation. I'm sure they'll learn negotiation skills when you do that. But short bursts of work where they are interested are much more effective than really long study sessions. And research on attention and learning shows that shorter focused intervals with breaks can lead to better concentration and retention than one long unfocused block. And retention here is really important because they really need a lot of retention skills in order to do well in their tests. And children, especially at primary school age, respond well to small and often. So you might say something like, after school and snack, let's do 10 minutes of reading or 10 minutes of vocabulary or maths. Then you have some free time, and be specific in how much of that time they will be spending to do what they want to do. And depending on the mood and the week or even the month. So like, for example, in December, you could make it festive. A learning advent calendar. You could probably make, both of you, parent and child, can make some kind of a learning advent calendar. And so on and so forth. So I'm just giving you an idea. So you could do a different thing for different months. So each day a one tiny task. Let's do a quick puzzle today. And puzzles are great at really sparking your child's interest in thinking, critical skills, and analytical skills, as well as really being resilient in trying to work out that puzzle. I've been doing a bit of research in organizations and companies that make these puzzles and escape rooms, and I'll give you some links when I find some really good ones. It could also be a short inference question. Let's sit down and work out this inference questions, because in English comprehension, especially, children really struggle. And this is one of the big stumbling blocks in English comprehension, and inference is one of the big ones. So maybe you could sit down with your child and do a short inference question, just one question. Or you can also do a mini writing challenge where you pick up a theme, a mood, a character or two, and then you write a very short story. The point of this routine is this is small enough not to feel scary, but big enough to move the needle. And when you do this every day, every other day, whatever consistency you choose is going to only mean that it's going to get better as you go along, and stick to it, right? If you can write down in your diaries or whatever you use for your daily tasks about what kind of strategy that you'll be using this month, it's going to help you, because consistency always beats intensity. It's not about being like you're doing 4-hour study sessions. It doesn't work at all. Children tend to get tired and they get frustrated. So always go for the micro routines and make it consistent and stick with it and keep at it until you start seeing results, because you definitely will if you keep at it. And why I insist on you writing all of this down is because if you are like me and forget what you used the week before, you do not want to confuse your child with too many strategies. So we are on strategy number 4, confidence first. And confidence before any kind of complexity. You do not want to make this complex. You want to make this as simple as possible. And the simplest things will bring the biggest confidence. And many children disengage, not because they are lazy, but because they are overwhelmed. If a child repeatedly feels, I cannot do this, the brain will protect them by avoiding the task, arguing, or shutting down. So what we have to do is flip the order. Start with something they can do, okay? Something easy, something small. Then gently stretch it. In practice, it could look like begin with 1 or 2 easier questions to warm up, and then you go on to the bigger ones. And definitely celebrate wins, what they did well. Celebrate the effort that they put in the harder questions. All these small little things need to be acknowledged and spoken out aloud with emotion, and it really matters. And then, the trickier questions, you can always work through it together. Always provide kind feedback. Use phrases like, I can see you really thought that math problem, that fraction through. I can see that you really stuck with that comprehension even when it was hard. Because, research suggests that focusing on effort and strategies rather than fixed labels like clever or are you a bit behind in math? All these fixed labels, avoid them as much as possible. And research suggests that focusing on effort and strategies encourages a growth mindset, which leads to greater resilience in learning. And that is what you want your child to be doing. And it's very important to track progress as well. So you can have a progress chart on how your child's performance in, say, fractions or percentages has improved over the last month. It is going to give them a lot of satisfaction and the impetus to be more proactive in their next maths worksheet. And it really helps. So try doing that. The strategy number 5 is choice builds ownership. Just looking at the time. Okay, I'm running a bit late, but that's fine. If there's any more questions, please keep them coming, or you can unmute yourselves. So choice is really important. Children are much more likely to engage when they feel they have some choice. I'm not talking about total control. Do not give up control. Definitely, you are the parent, always be in control. But meaningful choices within the structure that you have put together. And structure, as you know, is very, very important. Structure and spark. You have to put them both together for consistent work. You can also use the idea of 2 good options. Instead of sit down and do your work now, Try, which would you like to start with? A vocabulary exercise, or should we do some reading today? Instead of you must finish this whole page, try, do you want to do questions 1 to 5 or 6 to 10 today? And you will see the kind of change that comes in children, when you give them options. This way, you're also communicating to them that the non-negotiable is that some learning happens. The negotiable part is how, in what order, or with which activity. So that is the negotiation point on the table. And that's the sense of, ownership, the sense of choice and agency. It reduces children's resistance and they feel more responsible. So write down a few learning choices together and let your child pick what they want to do during on that day, and maybe even during the week. And some parents stick this on the fridge. So what it does is it turns potential arguments into a simple question. What are you choosing to do today? So the child knows that they have to do something and they have a choice in what they're going to do. Yes. Oh, that's wonderful that you use it, Laura. They work really well. Yes, I agree with you completely. They change everything. So we have the January vocabulary challenge. And as you know, that's going to be our first vocabulary challenge of the academic year. And I'm really looking forward to you joining. You will have many children joining from outside as well. It really makes for a lot of fun, a lot of healthy competition, and a lot of learning in those packed 3 days. The limited places is for those people outside of our program. And the dates are, they've changed. They are from 25th to 26th to 28th. And I'm going to be updating the calendar on school for that. And if you are a parent not from the program, then you'll have to go on our website, online store, where the date has already been changed. It was 12th to 14th, and now it is 2 weeks later because something has come up and we have had to move the date. And I really want to talk about vocabulary for a moment here, because vocabulary sits behind almost every part of the 11 plus. Comprehension, creative writing, reasoning, maths, even understanding what a maths question is requires comprehension, comprehending that question. So by all means, do some kind of a vocabulary activity every week, if not every other day. And do challenges on your own. I have given you some strategies on how you can do your own challenge. And if you want more information, maybe you want a challenge workbook, go on our online store and then you can find that workbook. For those on our program, I think you should have your vocabulary challenge course open for you. If you do not, please let me know and I will give you access to that. Because what makes challenges special is, like the ones we are going to have in Jan, is focused teaching across 3 days. Children are learning together with their peers and not alone. So they are learning from each other and from the educator. And we have the author Sheena Ager, who is going to be doing this vocabulary challenge. It's a mix of teaching. It's a lot of interaction and games and practical questions. And you get a workbook that you can reuse for doing a challenge on your own. Who will deliver the sessions? So Sheena Ager, I'm not sure if you know her, but she's an author of 11 plus vocabulary novels. They're very popular. So all the vocab that you find in classic textbooks are in her vocabulary novels, but they are in a very modern scientific, sci-fi kind of setting. Um, you should check them out. They are called the Cadwallader Quests, and Sheena Ager will be conducting these sessions on all the 3 days. You it's best to attend all the 3 days, but I do understand that some things may come up like after school clubs and so on. So the sessions will be recorded, so you will have those recordings in the learning vaults for the parents on the program, and for those outside, you will get the recordings after the 3-day challenge wraps up. You do not have to book it, Laura, because you're part of the program. So the Zoom link will be in the calendar. Yeah. So I just want to say thank you very much for being here, for listening, and for caring this much about your child's journey. It's so heartening to see this, and I'm very passionate about parents supporting their children. And I just love it when I see this kind of investment from parents, because investment is just not about money. It's about the time we put in, the effort we put in. So just by attending, taking notes, reflecting, asking questions, and having these discussions, you are already doing more than you think. Because your child does not need a perfect parent. They just need a present parent and an involved parent. So my invitation to you this week is to pick one strategy from tonight, not all 5, just one, and try it this week. Observe what happens and continue for the next week. Adjust gently as you go along. And if you would like more support, you can always ask me in the WhatsApp group for our parents, and for those joining us from outside the program, you can ask me on Facebook, tag me, ask me on school, or even email me. And after this session, maybe tomorrow, I will be emailing the workbook to you, and it will be also on your learning walls for our program families. Please feel free to contact me. Thank you again. And I hope this week, starting this week, it feels a little lighter, a little clearer, and a bit and more hopeful as well. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Becca. Thank you, Laura. Thank you, Joy. No, you don't have to pay, Laura, because you're part of the program. We have the educator sessions as part of the program. We have 3 educator sessions as part of the program. We have 3 challenges as part of the program as well. So yes, you don't have to pay. Thank you so much for joining, and have a lovely evening, everyone.